Do you truly control your business processes for real? In the past, data analytics was always very KPI minded. Active process intelligence basically means that you have encountered information out of what you would like to derive actions. Hello and welcome. Today is the last of our 3-row webinar ValueStory. Today we will focus on sales and after sales. This was quite an interesting case of an e-commerce, basically from a webshop analysis. They were looking at conversion rates of whatsoever. Yeah, so you create a KPI and they were able to put it on every dimension they want. And they saw that certain segments are really lacking in conversion rate. And the KPI was able to tell them, yeah, you are lacking conversion rate, but the reason behind, so the question, why is your conversion rate so much lower in certain segments, couldn't be answered by a classical KPI. What we did then with process mining is we were looking at the end-to-end process and comparing those segments with a high conversion rate with those segments to a low conversion rate. And what we directly saw is that a certain payment method just wasn't working properly. So it wasn't working zero, because zero would have been also measured somehow by a KPI, but it was the conversion rate there was a type of error. Yeah, so every second interaction went through, or every third interaction went through, but some of them don't. And people got fed up and then just switched to another e-commerce platform and bought the same product somewhere else. And it's quite a huge web shop, and that's why it was lifting already those 45 million euros quite quickly and got solved also real quickly. But in the end, you must know where to search your problems. Then the second one is basically the meter to cash. It's about the paying terms. And within this meter to cash process, we are really looking about the entire customer lifecycle. So from the first touch points until the contract is signed, payment reminders, and then even a contract termination. Then Frauenthal Group, it's really good to show how with the help of process mining and order to cash process can be optimized. And what we are seeing here is really interesting, because that are all activities that Frauenthal was using at the time of the presentation within the order to cash process. Where are the points within my process I really want to know what is going on? And so they derived out of the SAP system which activities are happening from a technical standpoint, and then just loaded them through, and then we're analyzing exactly that. Just to give you a perspective in terms of KPI and process mining capability. Yeah, within a KPI, you can of course measure how long does it take to do a sales process. Yeah, create order till receivement of the payment. But if a change price is occurring and is heavily being a driver of long lead times, you cannot distinguish. You just don't know that it's there. But this is highly relevant, because if I do have a change price, what is basically happening? And stuff like this is really getting just not to the surface when looking at a backward-looking KPI approach, but with an integrated end-to-end process mining approach. And really interesting, only if you see this number of activities, and those activities were creating already 11,000 process variants. And now is the question, of course, where are the process variants coming from? Because process variants are basically resulting in non-standardized processes. So the idea was to identify variant drivers, and 82% of all the cases were covered by just 0.1% of all the variants. So 99.98% of all the variants are just covering 18% of the cases. Those cases, yeah, those 18% of the cases are causing the majority of process variants. And then it's always the question, where are they coming from? We are calling it a spaghetti process when we are looking on the possible variants of the as-is process in the full scope. Where are the activities that are having a lot of edges going out and in? Of course, we have dedicated dashboards that are looking for rework activities and exactly those information, but in gathering those. But here you are seeing directly which activities are the drivers. And here one of those, it's hard to read, but it's ändere Absagegrund. Yeah, and ändere Absagegrund is changing cancellation. So there was a cancellation, and the cancellation was done, and then you are changing the reason for cancellation backwards. So this is something where you can now really identify and dig deep and try to find an answer and try to find how to change your process within this. What we are basically lifting with those standardization potentials is basically automation rates. Yeah, because the more standardized the process is, the more capability and the more scalability you have towards automation rates. Then, of course, more standardized and the more hiccup or the less rework activities you find within your processes, you also bring up the lead times. And then, of course, lead times and working time losses with incorrect processes and their causes. Yeah, and then medical service provider, also the order to cash side, which is quite an interesting one, because this is a client that uses an integrated SAP add-on in combination with process mining for the shipping process. We have integrated 5 warehouses and 45 different carrier accounts. And what we have done then automatically with the integration and with the analytics capability we are bringing is a cross-validation of freight rates. Before, it was just by gut feeling which carrier got used for which time range a shipment should be done, the size and the destination. Yeah, and they have very individual carrier rates for different distances or different rates like shipment or flight rate or by truck. And so it is quite hard to go over all 45 carriers and automatically set the right tariff to it. And so the cross-validation of the freight rates was led into a significant minimization of the data entry errors, the time, and of course, in cost savings in the end, because we were now using the optimal process in terms of shipping costs. And then another thing we identified throughout this end-to-end process where a high automation potential was lying, and it was in the central email inbox where all of those freight invoices were coming to, and we were creating an automatic upload into SAP and a booking initiation. And of course, and that is also quite a big thing, the client knows exactly during the entire process where the parcels are. That is how usually a dashboard looks like. This is normal dashboard analytics, and underlying are those KPIs I was looking to. Yeah, you have an end-to-end process, and the KPI is looking at exactly one single data point. And then you can take this data point and bring it into every dimension you want to do. But you have no idea if it is changing, why it is changing. What basically makes now process mining and active process intelligence and difference? And like the combination with now having those data points, those digital footprints we are collecting, brings the capability to really see and really derive the actual as-is process from it. And very importantly, we are having multiple source systems that we are deriving information from within one end-to-end process. Then we have an integrated view. And this is basically what really adds the value that we have. We come away from this silo thinking, but basically the added value is if you integrate it into different source systems and having one application with a single point of truth, where you see the entire process, you really see where the most potential would lie within the organization. And then, of course, in the last part, you execute it. That is from the finding up to the active process intelligence, and we call it our MPM execution suite. This execution suite holds basically 4 different modules. I will go through the modules within the live demo. So what we are seeing here is the energy supplier process. So basically, we have here energy cost analysis. So we see how many contracts we are, what amount is receivable, what is due. So that are classical KPIs. But what you see here on the right side is now the actual process every single client does go through. And then let's look into our clients, maybe from whom we have received the payment. And what you're now seeing is every single visualization KPI and is automatically recalculated in real time based on the selection I've done before. I have here now a controlling view. Down here, for example, I have my monthly receivable due and the average time from the first dunning to the payment. And then with different electricity tariffs. And I see a huge difference. So I have here a fair Strom 1 line, yeah, so 1 tariff, where I have absolutely no issue. And on another tariff, the green electricity tariff, we are seeing a high amount of days, because the size of the bubble basically relates also to the days. So I see the tariff is highly depending what payment willingness I can await from my clients. But now, how would I use it as active process intelligence? I would like to create an alert and an information. So here I have a difference of energy paid and actually used. So where have clients actually overused electricity compared to their monthly billings? In Germany, it's so that you're paying the same amount of money for every single month throughout a year. And in the end of the year, you're looking for the difference. Here, your different tariffs, and you see which clients are about to receive a so-called bill shock. So I can now say, alert me, please, if the different energy paid actually used by client name. And then you see here the different clients and the amounts. And then I say, if this is more than 45, I proactively want to get alerted. We have, of course, this simple alert that we are looking here, but we can do an automated action into a backend system. So we could easily then automatically create a ticket into the Tailor front office operators. So they receive a new ticket. They see, oh, this client is about to get a bill shock. I will call him and tell him the bill shock is there, and then handle it proactively.